Alright, here we go. The Brexit is just like, okay, hold on. Brexit, Judge, it's pointless. It's like a circle. It's pointless. On June 23rd, 2015, the UK voted to leave the EU in order to, so they no longer had to follow the rules and regulations of the European Union. However, Theresa May still has interest in the EU, and she wants involvement in the EU in order to maintain Britain's hegemon status. This brings us to our question today. Can Theresa May pass a Brexit package through Parliament? I say yes. One, because trade. Next, because of peace. And finally, because of immigration. Trade is one of the most biggest factors in the EU, and it's like involvement and it's like political influence. If Britain were to leave the EU, it would have drastic effects on its economy. We should look at it. An article written by the New York Times on June 22nd, 2016 stated that if Britain were to leave the EU, it would have drastic effects on its economy, ultimately leading to like 1 or 2 points in GDP decline. As we can come to the conclusion that if Britain were to leave the EU, if Britain leaves the EU, this will have drastic effects on the economy. So only through passing a package through Parliament can Britain still have an involvement in the EU economy. As we can see, that this will have beneficial effects, and the article furthers this development in saying that if Theresa May can pass a package, this will ultimately lead to Britain having involvement in the EU economy, but however, no longer have to abide by the rules and regulations. The article comes to the conclusion that by this will ultimately mean to a GDP boost within Britain, which now on to my second point. Peace and prosperity has been in Europe since the end of World War II. Only through diplomatic means has this peace been able to maintain itself for the last 70 so years. So, if the EU, Britain, the current hegemon, were to pull out of the EU, we could clearly see that this would have drastic effects on how we resolve conflicts through diplomatic means. An article written by The Telegraph on 2015 in June 2016, October 2nd, said that Brexit will ultimately have negative effects on how Britain solves problems through diplomatic means. As you can see, since the UK is the hegemon of Europe, and so we know we need the hegemon in order to have more peace and prosperity. So peace and prosperity is beneficial to Europe because it no longer involves power wars and deflects conflicts and resolves problems among others. Also, a strong EU leads to more diplomatic problems resolved, so no longer does it create a great power war, so we don't have another World War II. We should continue. So, if Theresa May can pass the package through the Parliament, this will allow Britain to have some involvement in how we solve problems diplomatically, and ultimately increasing peace and prosperity, and the avoidance of war in Europe. Now, on to my last point. Immigration. Britain is currently one of the mostly diverse countries in the world. As an article written by a Daily Mail said that Britain, the UK, has more than 100 ethnics and a race. Has one of the most diverse countries in the world, and then since one of the major reasons for leaving the EU is because it no longer wanted to abide by its immigration policy. However, if you choose to make it pass a package through Parliament, this will allow for a more diverse business of trade and how we discuss stuff and activity through immigration and how immigration will affect the UK as a whole and whether or not we should discuss these things or not. So, in conclusion, I come to the process that overall Brexit has beneficial purposes. However, it's ultimately pointless. That one of the three of the benefits were trade, immigration, trade, peace, and immigration. This will be beneficial to the UK and the EU. Thank you. I'm sorry, still that's really bad.